scoreboard here was no matchup was really decided by anything under 20 points. I think the closest matchup was like 23 points maybe. Everything else was, like I said, pretty much a blowout. So, a lot of teams flexing their muscles in these. Some teams not putting up the points they usually do. So let's really just jump right in. Looking at a few matchups here, we had the Bolingbrook Blue Ballers against Team Badasses. This was John and Mike. This was supposed to be the matchup of the week. It was going to be, high scoring, a lot of points put up in this one, and really John mopped the floor with Mike in this one. Mike couldn't get anything going from his team. He just had 3 double-digit scores in this, and one was his defense. Gronkowski really slowed down. He only had 1 point in this one. McFadden only put up 11. Maurice Jones-Drew only had 8. Cutler had 2. He just didn't get any production from his squad. Where John finally got a good bounce back from Michael Turner with 20. Dwayne Bowe staying consistent with 16. Mendenhall still shaky, he only had 8. But John scored 90 to Mike's 60. Looking at their benches, if John could have started maybe Matt Ryan, but like I said, he still got the victory. Mike really couldn't have started anybody else. So another win for John. John pops up to 3-1. Mike drops to 2-2. So matchup of the week. It was supposed to be that, but it didn't play out. But good matchup there. The new one to watch, the matchup that we thought, was between the 0-3s. Nico we thought would finally get off the hump, would really put up some points and, get into that win column, and he couldn't do it. He dropped to 0-4. Jared gets that first win. He's sitting at 1-3 now, and Jared, 107 to 78. Looking at Jared's team, he got 22 points from Akeem Nicks, 18 from Steve Smith, 16 from Vincent Jackson. His running backs didn't do anything, but his receivers absolutely killed. Looking at Nico, he got consistent play from his studs. Drew Brees with 15, Ray Rice with 18, Larry Fitzgerald 10, Darren Sproles had 12, but nothing from anyone else. He could have started Eric Decker. Still wouldn't have really decided anything. Jared had some, big scores on his bench. Josh Freeman had 23. Jordy Nelson with 15, but, with those other stud receivers, he's not going to start Jordy Nelson over any of them. So that was, a close matchup, but, I feel bad for Nico. He's got a good team. He's 0-4. It's going to be really tough for him to turn it around. So we'll see if he can maybe get a win this week in Week 5. So on to another matchup that was supposed to be a really close matchup. Make It Wayne versus Kiss My Ash. Eric is now 3-1 to Ashley's 2-2. The score was 119 to 80 in Eric's favor. Arian Foster came roaring back after missing the first couple weeks. He had 22 in this one. Greg Jennings, another consistent 16. Jimmy Graham is tied end at 19, but the big one I want to talk about is Ravens defense. His Ravens defense, I think, has scored more than any fantasy player besides Calvin Johnson. You look at they returned 3 touchdowns to last week. They had 32 points, 20 the week before, and then week 1 they had 21. And that's unheard of for a defense. So his defense really carrying his team. Looking at Ashley's team here, Phillip Rivers finally coming through with 17. LeGarrette Blount had 19, but her 2 other running backs, Peyton Hillis and Adrian Peterson, had 14 combined points. That's not going to cut it week in and week out. Jermichael Finley cooled down. He had 2. Maybe it's time for Ashley to look to trade, either Cam Newton or Phillip Rivers. Cam Newton had another solid game against a good Bears defense with 31 points sitting on her bench. Eric could have started Beanie Wells over Tim Hightower, and Eric could have scored, 140. So, like I said, Eric put up a huge amount of points here. He's a team to be reckoned with now, sitting at 3-1. So we'll look for his team to really make a splash as they go forward. Moving on to the next matchup we had that was going to be a really close matchup, and it was really high scoring. It was entertaining. Was the Autobot Revolution versus the Regulators. So it was Aaron versus Jobby. We were talking about Jobby's team not really scoring a lot of points, so they put up 106. Mike Vick came through with 29. Wes Welker, another stud outing from him, 21 points. Talk about a big sleeper. Deshaun Jackson had 17. But you go over to Aaron's team, and this is where his stud came through the most. He had Aaron Rodgers had 45 fantasy points, most out of any player this week. That was just crazy watching him go crazy against Denver. He scored 2 rushing touchdowns and another 4 passing, so he had 6 total touchdowns, 1 interception. But I mean that's a beast outing. Matt Forte ran all over Carolina. He had 28. So Aaron, scored a ton, 129. Jabby sat Frank Gore for the first week this season, and he scored 19. So, would have been a little closer, but still, Aaron just scored a ton of points, pulled that one out. In the last matchup for the week, we had Megatron's Army versus the Polish Pounder. This one was going to be a really interesting game till about the fourth quarter in the fucking Dallas and Detroit game. Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, I think, only had 8 points combined at that point before the fourth quarter. And then apparently Dallas's defense was non-existent. Matt Stafford finished the day with 15. Calvin Johnson finished the day with another 2 touchdown outing. He got both those touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which absolutely pissed me off watching that. One was in triple coverage. I mean, he's an amazing receiver. The poll this week was, how many touchdowns do you think he can have? He's already got 8. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 16 to 18 range. I mean, defenses are double teaming this guy and triple teaming, and he's still pulling in touchdowns. So he finished with 21. His running backs all finished with double digits. Des Bryant had 15. Redskins defense had 15. Could have started the Jets defense. Would have got him 21. But Redskins defense safe play against St. Louis. In looking at my team, Tom Brady cooled down a little bit. He had 17. McCoy and Matthews combined for 24 points. A.J. Green, the rookie, surprising. He had 110 yards, so getting 11 points. But wasn't really much I was going to be able to do in this one, especially with Calvin and Stafford going off late. If they would have, stayed with their 8 combined points and, Dallas's defense could close out a game, I probably would have finished this one off. But that's what happens in fantasy football. So that was a good matchup there. Brock hops up to a league-leading 4-0. I dropped down to a 1-3. Really got to turn it on here before my season comes to a close. So let's hop into Week 5 matchups here real quick. I got to start getting ready for work. Going into Kiss My Ash versus Team Badasses. 2-2-2 teams. Projected point totals are pretty low here. We're looking at 92 for Ashley, 84 for Mike. I can't really get into the matchups because I'm on a time crunch today, but we'll watch these matchups closely throughout the week. In this one, I am going to take Ashley. I'm expecting a bounce back, especially from Adrian Peterson, Peyton Hillis. Maybe throw Cam Newton in there too. That might get you more points, but it's hard to bet against Phillip Rivers. But I'm going to take Ashley in that one. My matchup of the week right here, Megatron's Army versus Make It Wayne. These are two teams that score a ton of points. Especially Brock. I believe he's leading the league now in points scored. I don't know. Aaron was pretty close. Projected totals in this one, Brock's projected at 126. Eric only 83. So this one could be a blowout from the matchup standpoint, but combined record of 7-1 with these two teams. This is a big matchup, early in the season that could. You could see the effects of this down the road. Next one, we got Polish Pounder at Shell Crushers Unite. Nico changed his name, thinking a little bit of Brock's luck will rub off on his team. Projected this week, I'm projected pretty high total at 123 to Nico's 107. This is two teams that have struggled all year. Combined record is just 1-7. Both teams really need this win. I think the loser of this one season is kind of over. Sad to say with two pretty good owners, but that's the way it rolls in fantasy. If you have some bad luck with injuries or just you don't really have a good feeling in your draft. So yeah, that one I'm gonna take me. Hopefully I can get up to 2-3, make a little push here for the playoffs. But, you know, it is going to be close because I like Nico's matchups. So we'll see how it plays out. The next one, Autobot Revolution versus Titletown USA. Aaron is 2-2 after scoring a huge amount of points last week. Jared 1-3, got his first win last week against Nico. Projected totals in this one, Aaron's projected at 95, Jared at 107. So this is going to be a really close game, and I think could even be, you know, not matchup of the week material, but, you know, one to really watch. It's going to be entertaining. I'm going to take Aaron in this one. He will score more than his projected 95. I'm going to say he's going to score up in the 100 and, you know, 607. I don't think Jared's team will perform as well as it did last week, scoring all of those points. But we'll see. You know, you never know with those receivers. He's got a good group of receivers there. Last matchup, we got Bolingbrook Blue Ballers against the Regulators. You know, John got that, you know, bounce back win last week. His team played pretty well, scored in the triple digits again. And Jabby, you know, got burned. He scored a lot of points last week, but got burned playing Aaron. So there's nothing he could do there. But projected totals in this one, Jabby's projected at 120 to John's 98. You know, we got some good looks out of Jabby's team last week. You know, seeing Wes Welker stay consistent, Deshaun Jackson turning around, Mike Vick put up good numbers. You know, but in this one, I am going to take John. I'm thinking John's going to go 4-1. Jabby's going to fall to 2-3. I just don't expect Wes Welker to really keep going at the pace he is. I mean, it's incredible. He's been doing a hell of a job, but I just don't think he can go at that pace, and he's been leading Jabby's team. So I'm going to go with John in that one. So that's it for the Week 5 matchups. Hopefully you guys are still having fun. Stay active. You know, vote on the polls. Brock's been doing a great job of putting the new polls up. He's putting up like 2 to 3 a week, which is really good, because I know everybody checks it more than that. So it's kind of refreshing to see something new on the league page every week. I notice activity's good. You know, a lot of people still adding and dropping, trying to make that team a lot better. You know, so make polls if you're looking for a trade that you think will help your team. Make a poll that says, so-and-so are available, I'm looking for a running back receiver. So just keep having fun, guys. Keep voting on the matchups, and if you have any questions or comments, leave a feed or leave a post. But other than that, that's all I got for you. Time to go get all ready for work. So good luck this week to all the teams. Have fun, and hopefully your team can get in the win column this week. All right, thanks, guys. Later.